I am DYANAROZAY, and I bring a unique commentary to your favorite reality TV shows and whatever is popping on social media. If you are not a subscriber, please become one. Hit that notification bell too, that way you don't miss any of my videos. I go by DYANAROZAY on all platforms, and I appreciate every single one of y'all for rocking with me. What's up, Supreme Team? Welcome to the channel. It's your girl, DYANAROZAY, and I am here to bring y'all the latest on the Braxtons. Welcome, family. Nice to have y'all. Please let me know that you can hear me by putting your city, your state, your country, your island, your continent, wherever you are coming in from, into the chat so that I could say hello to you guys real quick. This was a deep episode, child. It was called New Hustles, Old Wounds, right? Everybody's getting older. They got to find new ways to make money, child. Come on in, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me get my banner up so that y'all can see the banner. We are doing a recap for the Braxtons, but all opinions are alleged because I have some, okay? They had some deep topics, so I got some deep comments that I'm going to share with y'all. And make sure y'all take the poll at the top of the chat too. Okay? Come on in, come on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me get my little reminder that I need y'all to hit the like button, share the video, and become a subscriber if you are not already. I see Maryland is in the house. What's up, what's up? I see Georgia is in the house. I live in Georgia. What's up, what's up? Yes, I know there was some sad news earlier about the passing of D'Angelo, who is the greatest of all times. He's one of the greatest. Oh my goodness, me and my sister is the one. I don't know how I found out about him. I think my sister hooked me up, like, gave me the tea, but we know every single song. Every single song we can sing. All of it, okay? Come on in. Welcome, welcome. What's up, Jacqueline, though? Nice to have you in the house. Oh, my heart's broken. My heart's broken all the same. Come on in, y'all. Welcome to the chat. Get myself up here. Welcome to the chat. Let me get y'all a pretty background. Who can we do today? Let's get some flowers up here. Maybe these. Yeah, so this was a deep conversation about, I actually called this episode, if y'all saw the thumbnail, it says Braxton Family Secrets, right? Braxton Family Secrets, and they're still covering for Gabe. And that is because, the Braxtons, even though a lot of people give them shit, they are some of the realists because these secrets keep rolling out, right? These secrets keep rolling out. And it's not like we don't have family secrets. Everybody has family secrets. It's just that everybody's been taught to keep your shit. Don't tell anybody else. But when your secrets is tied to someone else's trauma, you can't keep it a secret. You know what I'm saying? You can't expect them not to talk. I mean, you can, but the chances are they're not. Because everybody's healing is different. And you just got to know that when your shit is tied to someone else's pain, just, you got to brace and bear it. You got to bear it. You're going to have to bear it. Brace and bear it because it is what it is. Gabe was cheating on Trina. Now, y'all know, if y'all are a fan of the Braxtons like I am, Tamar, since the day they got on screen, has been talking about the nasty ass antics of Gabe. Am I correct? She has talked about all kinds of stuff. Now, for the most part, it looked like all of the sisters were in agreement when she would get in her tangents, like Gabe, and we all know how nasty Gabe is, right? It seemed like everybody was in agreement. And then sometimes they would shut her down and be like, you're giving too much. Stop doing that. Can't you see? You know what I'm saying? And then you would see Trina pipe up and she would try to cover for Gabe and say, cut it out, and, all that type of stuff. But now the secret is out there. If people have been paying attention to what happened on social media, it was actually on TikTok. Miss Ashley Braxton, who looks just like her auntie Tawanda, like they got the same exact face, she had came out and said, listen, when I was a child, I was 16 years old. I was, one of the husbands was flirting with me. And people always want to blame the little girl, right? I don't care if she was 16, she's still a young girl. She's still in her pubescent years. She's still trying to figure things out. And I also want to point out how different this would have been if it was a 16-year-old boy and a 30-something-year-old woman. Everyone would have covered the boy. No one covers the female girl. No one covers the child, the girl child, right? It's always her fault. She's always fast. She's always asking for it. You name it. But if that was a 16-year-old boy and a 30-something-year-old woman, they would have burned that lady at the stake. Okay? Just saying. But the secret is, she said he was sending me messages. He was flirting with me. She didn't deny that she was trying to see what was, I shouldn't say see what was up, but she's a child. So children do what children do. They get excited the same way adults get excited. I don't know when we're going to figure this out, maybe 3-4 more centuries, but everything you feel as a grown person, a child feels. They just don't have the language for it, okay? But it was very inappropriate. And she said that when the auntie, I think it was her mother who saw it. So the mom sees her text messages, approaches the family with it. The family, for the most part, everybody is very protective of Ashley, and they tell her it's not her fault. And oh my God. And she's like, I got all kinds of support. However, after a couple of months pass, the auntie tells her it was her who was being fast. You were being fast. You knew that that was wrong. You blah, blah, blah. And she was just like, I had no idea. And I mean, it's confusing, right? It was her stepmother. Yeah, her stepmama. So, but this happens all the time across all races, all cultures, all of it. It's always the same story, okay? Always, and it does not matter how young that child is, or it's just a situation. But I just thought it was interesting because we should all know by now that secrets are in everybody's family. I already said that. One of the biggest secrets that probably started the Braxton family secret was the daddy and the mama, the dad being a minister in the church and having an affair with the mama's friend. Okay. That was one of the biggest secrets. And how they all had to cover for their father and, keep the scandal down. And it's something you learn to do. They all have these high profile careers. You don't want this shit coming out. But Tamar was the only one who really was trying to push that shit out there. Like, we don't want Gabe on this TV show. We don't want to have anything to do with this motherfucker. If you choose to, that's your business, Trina. But for the rest of us, we can do without Gabe, right? You could do better. From Tony on down, they've always said that on the show. Always. And then I think the last season of Braxton Family Values, when Iyanla was on, that's when someone shares with Iyanla that Tamar Braxton was actually the victim of an adult predator when she was a child. And Tamar didn't want the secret out there. Now, I will say this. If you're the victim and you decide to tell your story and that affects somebody else's skeletons, whatever skeletons they're holding in their closet, for me, oh well, you got to know that shit's going to come out sooner or later. But if you're the victim, and Tamar said she was the victim, for them to tell her secret when she asked them not to, I think that was dirty. But Tamar said, listen, when I was a child, this shit happened to me. We don't know who was the perpetrator. We don't know who did it. She still hasn't said it to this very day. We don't know if it was an uncle or a member of the church. We don't know. Um, I'm assuming it's not her father or her brother because she seems to, speak highly of them. But something did happen to her, and she basically sees herself in Ashley right now. She said, nobody was there for me when I came to them, came to the adults who were supposed to protect me and told them that this happened to me. They wanted me to keep it quiet. They told me I was a liar because they didn't want that shame to come across the family or whatever dealings they had with these people. And so now she said, I'm giving Ashley the platform to have this conversation. And Ashley's in her 30s. I think she might have been 33 or 32 when she told the public her story. She was in her 30s. She was 16 when it went down. Okay. Come on in, everybody. Welcome to the chat. I appreciate every single one of y'all for coming through. Hit the like button for me, though. Hit the like button, share the video, become a subscriber if you are not already. We are talking about the Braxtons, and just so y'all know, I do like the Braxtons. I think that the Braxtons, I've always liked them. They're a big family. I come from a really big family. My grandparents had 11 from my mother's side, and they all grew up and was having children together. So I have plenty of cousins and second cousins, third cousins. My grandmother's from a big family. So I get it. I get the big family dynamic type of stuff. But yeah, it's interesting. Renee said that Trina should be ashamed of herself. So yeah, that's why I asked y'all. Oops, sorry about that. That's why I asked y'all to take the poll at the top of the chat. And I'm going to answer it right now. I said, do y'all think that Ashley, 32 years old, should have talked to her aunt before revealing the secret online? And 38% of y'all, so it's kind of close, 38% of y'all said, yes, social media is not the place to reveal that type of secret. She should have give her a heads up. And then the majority of you, 57% now, said no. Trina skeletons are her problem. I'm actually on that side. I feel like when something like that happens, you just got to know you married a man who didn't have enough respect for you as your husband to mind his P's and Q's. She was 16 years old. She was a member of your family. She's your niece, your brother's daughter. So I would expect for him to have a little more respect for you, and he didn't. And if you chose to stick it out with that man, okay, stick it out with him. Nobody can stop you from doing that. But you gotta know that when push comes to shove and that girl grows up and decides to tell her story, you're gonna get hit. You're gonna get hit, and it will be what it'll be. Okay. But yeah, let's talk about it. Y'all talk to me in the comments. Let me know your feelings about all of this as we go through it. Okay. So I already told y'all the Braxton family, they're used to hiding secrets, starting with their mama. Okay. And we've heard this already from previous seasons where they've shared, we've always been told what happens in this house stays in the house. But their parents, they used to go at it. They was going after each other. Looks like Mama Braxton might have taken a skillet up to Michael Braxton's head on many occasions, okay? Just based on some of the shit that we've seen even to this day. But the scene opens with a sister dinner. The four sisters are sitting down and they are talking to each other, I guess, about the secret that went down with Gabe and their niece, Ashley. Tamar is the last to arrive. And when she gets there, Tawanda rolls her eyes at Tamar something awful. Like, you can just tell there is hate there. She cannot stand her. And even with everything that went down with Tracy, this family, these women, they still have not figured out how to, bury the hatchet. Okay. You only got so much life, and you got to decide whether or not y'all are going to love each other and be okay, or if everything is going to be a fucking problem. We know right now that everything is a problem. Tawanda and Tamar, who sound like they may have had one of the hardest relationships outside of Tamar and Tracy, It's pretty difficult for them. Anyway, how do y'all feel about Tawanda? Do y'all like her? I'm asking. Do y'all like Tawanda? Put a 2 in the chat if you like Tawanda, if you think she's a solid person. Put a 3 in the chat that if you think that Tawanda is the one who kind of enforces keeping the family secrets in the chat. Okay? If you think that she enforces keeping the family secrets and ignore this one and keep this one. Okay, so Jacqueline said 50-50. 2 in the chat if you think that Tawanda might be, because y'all remember they called her the secret squirrel, and she's the one who kind of talks to people on the side and tries to tell them how to think about things. Okay, 2, and then 3. It looks like it's 50-50 between y'all. Okay, cool. Anyway, because I might say some shit y'all might not like about Tawanda. It's going to be what it is. Anyway, when Tamar walks in, Tawanda gives her a heavy ass eye roll, and they all sit down, and you could feel the tension just amongst them, right? And they kind of get into a conversation where Tamar said, listen, y'all was fucking with my business. I'm sitting here with our niece. She's trying to tell her story. Personally, I feel like this is happening all over again with her because I've already experienced this shit with y'all. It was not fair for you to send me a cease and desist. Not only were you interfering with my business, but you sent me a cease and desist. And Trina is quick to say, I didn't send it. Okay, this is Trina's business. And Trina said, I didn't send it. So right away, I'm like, the only person who would have sent it is Tawanda. And why is Tawanda sending a damn cease and desist on Trina's behalf if Trina's not, you know what I'm saying? So the fact that Trina piped up and said, I didn't do it, not me, okay? And Tawanda's just sitting there like, and what you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? Tawanda wants the smoke. Tawanda wants it. Anyway, Tamar just continues on. You know how Tamar is. She can grate people's nerves, but sometimes she's right. So she's like, listen, I'm tired of the bullshit. She's the youngest of the family. And she's like, I've seen a lot of y'all go down underneath these secrets. I'm going down underneath these secrets. She got all types of mental health issues. She says she don't feel good about herself, and she doesn't want that to happen to her niece. This is the platform she's saying. And she said, and all of y'all, in one way or another, have tried to shut that girl down, including you, Tony. She points her finger at Tony. She said, y'all don't have my back. And Tony was like, Tony Braxton doesn't have your back? Tony Braxton, Tamar. So now Tony's getting pissed. And Tony, who is sick with lupus and can't have any type of heart flutters, she jumps up out of her seat. She jumps out of her seat at risk of having a damn heart attack to get at Tamar, to put her finger in her face and say, bitch, I know you ain't saying that I didn't have your back. I know you're not saying this, right? Anyway, that's how we end this scene. And then they take us back to 3 weeks before. But you can tell that this is a real moment. And like I said, these secrets, everybody has something. But these secrets seem to rule the Braxton family, even from the grave. Because Gabe is dead. You know what I'm saying? Gabe isn't even here. And a lot of people was wringing Trina's neck the other day when she went online and said, he's not here to defend himself. And I don't think that this is the right platform to do it. And she could have just called me. She's a child. And what happened to her when she was a child she will always be that 16-year-old or whatever age that person was when they were a victim. They will always be that age as they move forward, period. You were the adult. And now that you should be able to look back and say, you know what? I need to call my niece and get things right. And you didn't do that, Trina. So I actually am on your niece's side. I think that you might need to go to therapy because we all know you like to drink your fucking problems. Trina is still drinking way too much and you can see it. her face is puffy, or damn, one of her eyes is practically closed. I'm like, girl, could you please go over to the Betty Ford and get yourself cleaned out? Trina drinks way too much, which means that she's not dealing with her problems because nothing's that delicious. You understand? She is just swollen. Her liver is just full of toxins. Get yourself cleaned up. So how do you let 16 years go by? I want to say this. Well, we're going to get into it, y'all. We'll get into it. So anyway, that's how it opens with that part. And there was a scene that happened before with Tracy. This is another reason why I don't like Tawanda that much. Or at least I think that Tawanda might be a busybody in shutting people down. There was a scene that Tracy and her husband have with Tawanda and her fiance. And Tawanda's like, well, Tracy, is there any way for us to get over this? Why don't you just tell me what the problem is? And she's being real condescending, you can tell. And Tracy's like, I told you what the problem was, right? Tracy's like, bitch, don't give me this, Miss Katie from the school district voice. Talk to me like we are real people engaging each other. Tracy was over it. But by the end of it, she said, Tawanda, I don't fuck with you. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. I don't trust you as far as I can see you. And as of right now, we are done. And she gets up and she walks out. Her husband, Kevin, because Tracy looked like she was about to jump up out of that seat and get physical with Tawanda. She really wanted to knock Tawanda's lights out, I promise. But she gets up, she walks out the room. Her husband, he stands up, he hugs or he shakes Tawanda's fiance's hand. He hugs Tawanda like, bitch, this might be the last time I ever see you. You know what I'm saying? And then he walks out behind his wife. But you can tell that she's the person. She's the busybody, not Miss Evelyn, not Tony. Tawanda is the person who's ruling the family with the iron fist, in my opinion. Come on in. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the chat. Lady Lucy said, Tamar is no therapist. None of them are. None of them are a therapist. Tamar is simply saying that she's living her experience with that family all over again through her niece. And she said, if nobody else want to, walk the right walk, I will walk it. That's it. That's how she feels. I actually commend her for that. I do, because when you live in a family, a big family is one thing. A big family with a name like the Braxtons is a complete and total nother. Okay, and we're going to get there. Anyway, I told y'all about Tracy. Tamar is actually meeting up with her niece, Ashley. And she says, listen, I'm happy that the last time I saw you was at Tracy's funeral. And then you got your ass right back on a plane and went back to Spain. We haven't seen you in, X many years. Girl, how you been? How you doing? What's going on? And her niece is telling her, I'm exhausted with this family. I'm exhausted with the secrets. I'm exhausted with feeling like I'm not loved. I'm not seen. Nobody believes me that I'm the problem. And Tamar is like, yeah, I know what that's like, right? So she's agreeing with her. She's agreeing with her. She sees what's going on. Hit the like button and share the video, you guys. I appreciate y'all for coming through and hanging out. Like I said, this incident happened 17 years ago, but when she's talking about it, it very much feels like it happened 2 minutes ago. 2 minutes ago. But Tamar is trying to get Ashley to share as much as she can in the scene. She tells her, listen, I'm your auntie. I want to support you. I know what it's like to hold on to trauma and things that happen to you and not feel like you have the support of your family, to feel like you just need to get over it when they have no idea that shit is recycling in your brain with every decision you make, with every cup of coffee you pour. There's some things that just you don't get over. You understand? So she's saying, I know what that's like. Ashley says, she said, and then your sister Lauren Ashley had a sister, a younger sister by the name of Lauren, who you guys may or may not know had passed away due to ODing on Fent. Y'all know what I'm talking about, and hair, Ron. Okay. But yeah, those two things combined was in her system when they found her. And Ashley says, I could have been Lauren. This is how bad whatever these things are in the family that was going down. She said, I could have been her. I could have been her. I wasn't handling this properly. And until I left all of this, all of you, that was when I was able to see life differently, to feel some freedom from, you know, all of these lies that we have to live under, right? Come on in. Welcome to the chat, y'all. Anyway, Ashley just basically says that she didn't feel supported. Tamar, and she also says that the biggest thing was that when Trina first came to her, she told her it wasn't her fault. She said, my aunt told me it wasn't my fault. And what really effed her up is that she flipped on her. She started telling her, you were fast. You encouraged it. You liked it. Okay. And she said that that was something that she truly couldn't handle. Seeing it Miss Lisa's Way said, if you truly want healing from the family hurt, I don't understand how social media helps anyone. I understand. I understand, and I respect it, but sometimes people feel like if they could just get it out, however they get it out, that it's more helpful to them than not. Anyway, while Tamar is at a restaurant talking to her niece, simultaneously Trina is at her house and she's talking to Tawanda about it. And Tawanda just says, how do you feel about all the shit that happened on social media, this big reveal about your ex-husband or your late ex-husband, Gabe? And Trina said, I can't believe it. She said, all of the nasty, horrible things that people were saying about me on social media sent me into a tailspin. I was in a loop-de-loop. And she said, I don't think it's fair. Now, she did say, I can't control how another person hurts. I can't say anything about her pain. However, I do believe that she shouldn't have put it on social media. I do believe that she at minimum owed me a phone call because my phone number is the same. Hers is different. And this is what I was saying to y'all when I said at the beginning, Trina, that lady is still 16 years old when it comes to that trauma. You, on the other hand, was 30 something, 31, 32. Were you young? Sure. Were you a drunk? Looks like. Looks like you still had some shit going on. Were you trying to figure out things with your husband? I guess so. But there's been a lot of life that you've lived. And actually, it was your responsibility to go backward in your life and heal her trauma. At the very minimum, go back to her, whether you wrote it on social media or Facebook or by pigeon mail and sent it to her. It was your responsibility to go backward and say, hey, I was thinking about you. I need to talk to you. I said some things to you that I regret. I sincerely regret, and I want to fix it, talk about it, whatever. I need to know that you're okay. Those were things that she, in my opinion, owed her niece, and she didn't do that. And so she let time sneak up on her, and a lot of people do. You think you have time, and it's not how life works. So now Trina's dealing with skeletons that were in her closet because she knew about it. Ashley knew about it. Sounds like the entire family knew about it. Her hurt comes from the public knowing about it. And there's not a whole lot you can do at that point because that's Ashley's story. She can tell it however she chooses, in front of the church, on social media, to her mama, her children, however she chooses. That's all there is to it. And that's for anybody. That's for anybody. But yeah, she's telling this to Tawanda. And She's like, well, I can't tell a victim how to feel. And Tawanda is trying to console her sister. So she's like, well, you're a victim too, Trina. You're a victim too. And Trina was clear in saying, but I'm a different type of victim. I do appreciate that. She said, I'm a different type of victim. I'm not in the same category of victim as my 16-year-old niece, or then 16-year-old niece. Hey, Erica, welcome, girl. Nice to have you. But Trina says she does feel like Ashley could have come to her and told her what she was thinking or feeling so that they could have addressed it privately. That's what Trina is asking for in this scene. And Tawanda is facilitating Trina's words, in my opinion. I don't know if y'all saw it that way, but there's things that Trina's saying, and Tawanda, it feels like she's steering her to say it a certain way or think about it a certain way. And I was thinking, I don't know if I like Tawanda here. I would prefer for Tawanda to just let Trina get it out. Anyway, Tawanda said, let me tell you how I remember it. And this is what I didn't respect about Tawanda. But she said, let me tell you how I remember it. She said, we were all together. She used to come on tour with us, and we saw each other all the time, and this wasn't a problem, okay? And then she said, I also think that she had, an obligation to talk to you first before she put our family business out here on social media. She also said, Trina, there's no way that you would have thought this was going to come back for you. You've moved on. You have a new husband. And Trina said, a good one. And then she said, yeah, and you have been spending a whole lot of time grieving your sister. And so it was inappropriate for Ashley to do what she did on social media. That's what I thought was low down dirty dog bullshit about Tawanda. I did not like that she did that. Again, I just want to point out, I don't know why people try to put themselves in the victim's shoes when they're not the victim. If this girl was on tour with y'all as the Braxtons, cool. That doesn't mean that she still wasn't hurting. It doesn't mean that that shit wasn't still being lived out in her head. Maybe she just didn't want to bring it up at the time. Y'all were the adults in her life. Y'all were the older ones in her life, and the guidance should have come from y'all. She didn't have to guide you into having a conversation with her. You were obligated to figure out how to have a conversation with your niece. Again, hindsight is 2020, and I know that when these types of things happen in families, nobody has an answer. Nobody figures it out when it's going down. But if anybody can hear the sound of my voice, just know, if you have a family member where some shit went down, and just because they're not talking about it doesn't mean they're not thinking about it. Doesn't mean, y'all know that the girl went to a whole nother country. She's been in Spain, for Pete's sake. She changed her number so that she didn't talk to you. So it's not like you didn't know things were going on. It's not like you didn't know she had feelings. I don't know. I think that there's some shit you got to figure out. Trina had a chance to handle it privately 16 years ago, and she didn't. Well, she did, Erica. She actually apologizes to her niece. She apologized to her. And then she came back and got real indignant and said that she thought that she was she was trying to get with Gabe. She basically told her she was fast, like a lot of people do. People do this shit all the time with children. You're fast. Why are you wearing lipstick? You're trying to attract that grown-ass man. That child don't know anything about anything, okay? They might be hormonal, because everybody goes through that. But if you as an adult can't say that that grown-ass man was wrong and that he should know the difference between a child and an adult, and you're putting it on the child, you are disgusting, in my opinion. I'm sorry. That's just how I feel. And I don't give a shit if the child, what age the child is. I sometimes read comments on social media where someone will say, why are you putting lipstick on a 3-year-old? That's why men, blah, blah, blah. A 3-year-old? You want to tell me that a man doesn't know the difference between a pair of panties and a diaper? If we don't figure out how to protect women, if women don't figure out how to protect women, we will never be protected. It starts with us. Grown women have to protect children and other women. We have to protect them with our mouths. You know what I'm saying? Question, would you allow a amount of child to, would you allow? Jacqueline, tell me how you think the brother played a part in it. Tell me, put it in the chat. I might have missed something. Yeah, we do this. And again, it was text messages, but I just want to be clear. The people that say the most harmful things is women. Sometimes I read comments and even the men in the comments will be like, damn, sis, it was actually his fault. But we don't protect each other the way we should. And it's all learned. It's all learned. I hate to say it, but we learn it. It's all been passed down to us because we've never been protected since we've been on the US soil. You know what I'm saying? Things happen to our ancestors. Who did they report it to? Who could they tell that these things were happening to them? And actually telling got us unalived. So it's this protection mechanism that has continued over and over and over again. And the way we break these curses is to talk about it. I'm looking for the conversation about the brother. Just if I may have missed something, so tell me what you mean. If Ashley was going through the same issues at home, then it's safe to say that she may have a safe place with Gabe. Okay. However, Gabe was wrong. He was an adult. Gabe was definitely wrong. And even if Trina feels like she can't say anything because Gabe has passed away, she could have at the very minimum say, Gabe was wrong. Gabe was wrong. That's all people were looking for. Ashley and her father have a strained relationship. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm trying to understand everyone's feelings. I don't want you to feel bad seeing it Miss Lisa's way, because I know that we all have had some experience with, this shit. You know what I'm saying? We all have. I had a very strong mama child. Let me just say, I remember one time I was at like a convenience store, me and my mom and my sister, and there was some grown ass man who was staring at me for way too long and in a way that he should not have been. And when I tell y'all, and I swear to God, I don't even know how to lie about this type of stuff. My mama literally yanked this fucker by the collar and said, she is 13 years old. Okay. She literally got in his face like that. She is a child. Okay, get your nasty blah, 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 blah. He was like, oh, okay. And he, ran out the store. But that's what I'm used to. I'm used to that type of get this motherfucker straight kind of thing. You don't let this type of stuff just go away, period. And I know that people, everybody handles it differently, like I said, but you have to figure out at some point in your life what's right and what's wrong when it comes to this. Remember on Braxton Family Values that Trina and Gabe went to therapy and they talked about those text messages? I don't remember them. Tell me, Lovely Red, what happened and when they talked about them. I do remember Tamar talking about them. I do remember he went on and did more text messages because Tamar said, not the text messages again. First you did this and now you're sending messages. And so I do remember Tamar was really one of the only ones who repeatedly discussed it. And that may be why Ashley feels the safest with Tamar, because maybe she thought she was trying to, protect her on the back end. From what I'm understanding, Ashley's stepmother found the messages in her phone. And then Ashley's stepmother brought it to the attention of Trina, her husband, and maybe the entire Braxton clan. Like, look, this is some dirty shit. Okay. And he apologized to Trina about it. Trina needed to double back and correct her activity with Ashley. But anyway, so while all that's happening, when Tawanda makes that comment that, look at all you've been through and you have a new husband now and all of that stuff, I was just like, Tawanda, I get wanting to soothe your sister because she's in a bad way, or maybe she's embarrassed. I get that part, but it felt like you were re-victimizing Ashley because she really needs the support of all of you. And again, hindsight is 2020, but you were the adult. It was up to you to make that right. And it does not matter what stage of her life she's in, whether she's 60 and you're 90, okay? She's, 40 and you're 50. It does not matter. You need to do it. So anyway, that's why I said, how did y'all feel about Tawanda? Anyway, moving on. Tamar is asked in confessional by production whether or not she believed Ashley has regressed since revealing the secret on social media. And she said, I absolutely think she's regressed. And that is because of how my family handled it. She said that basically, my family likes to sweep everything under the rug. They don't want to talk about it. You're the problem if you're still stuck in that place. And she said, that's the reason why I'm fighting so hard to allow her to share what she needs to share, whether it's publicly or just to the family itself. Either way, that girl has a story and she needs to get it off her chest. And I don't want to see her cause any further harm to herself because there's already been too much that's happened. Okay? Come on in. Welcome to the channel. Thank you, Erica. Anyway, now we are in the next scene. We are with Tawanda. Tawanda's living out her dreams, y'all. Y'all remember when we were watching Braxton Family Values, Tawanda said that she wanted to move on to be an actress. She doesn't want to be a backup singer no more. And it looks like she's gotten a couple of movies off. She's gotten a movie on Tubi, and it looks like she said Prime. So she's doing exactly what she wants to do. Tamar, on the other hand, is still trying to figure herself out, child. Y'all know when you shave your head bald, that's the first sign that you are going through some shit that you're trying to work out. Tamar has already shaved her head bald. I guess now she's not in that stage. She doesn't want to do it no more. Or it's still already bald. She put some wigs on. So maybe she can't cut it off no more. But now she is about to do some work to her temple. She said that Tamar 2.0 is under reconstruction, and she's already got some tatas, which she's calling Grace and Mercy. But now she's about to do one of them liquid butt lifts, and she decides to do it on TV, for Pete's sake. But she said, I've always, been a little challenged in my back end. So she said, I went out, I got the tatas lifted, and I look like the letter P. So I'm about to go in and get my ass lifted, okay? I'm going to need a little padding back there to match the front. That was actually funny. But anyway, Tamar is their child, and they show all these needles on the table. And Tamar is like, yeah, girl, how many is that? And I think I think they said it was 100 and something. I don't know. Am I mistaken? Was it 100 or 20? Either way, it looked awful. I'm not gonna lie. Tamar said, "Listen, can I run to the bathroom real quick?" And she told her friend, she said, "Yeah, let's go out for a second." Tamar is in a full hospital gown, child, with the back out. And she ran out the back door. Tamar runs out the back door trying to escape. And then she realizes that she left her keys in her purse, and she left her purse in the procedure room. So she said, "Damn, we got to go back in. F it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it." Y'all know they set these kind of things up. I'm sure the actual procedure place, it gets publicity. But yeah, that was actually hilarious. Thank you, Erica. Hit the like button, please, and thank you. But yes, Tamar actually had to come back in, and she laid on her stomach, child. She said, "How long, am I able to sit down after I get these shots?" And they tell her, "For about 2 weeks, sleep on your stomach, okay, child?" Anyway, she said she felt good about it. She was enjoying herself. Whew, that looked like it was a painful procedure, but they numbed her up and everything. Anyway, moving on to the next one, and it is Miss Tony. So Tony Braxton, who still looks amazing, but y'all know she said that she was having problems touring and things like that because that was how she was getting a lot of her money. I think she had a residency in Vegas, but then she had an incident, a complication of lupus. Y'all know lupus attacks your vital organs, heart, liver, lungs, everything, right? It attacks the skin. I noticed that she had, if you can, depending on the TV you have, you might see that her skin looks a little different on and she puts a lot of makeup on to cover it up. I had an auntie who passed away from lupus, and it attacked her skin like real bad. Some days she would be like completely cleared up, and then other days it just looked like a road mat. But anyway, she had a lot of makeup on, and I think that she's in a phase where it's attacking her skin real bad. But she said, "Listen, I got to think of other things to do. And right now, I would really like to get into television production. I want to pitch movies and TV shows." And she asked for some sort of, what is the name of this person? She's some sort of consultant, like a development consultant. She's sitting with a development consultant to talk about ideas, movie ideas that she has. And she's looking for help in how to present this stuff to like a Tyler Perry, right? Somebody with a production company. And so, yeah, that was the scene. That's how we're getting help. So we'll get to see. She actually pitched an idea in the scene that I'm sure has a patent on it, because I was like, well, damn, she just isn't gonna just pitch it unless she's already probably has something in the works. So we'll get to see what it looks like. But then in the last scene, y'all, we have Miss Tamar, who is about to do a live taping of her podcast, and she has Ashley with her, and she has all of her entourage. Y'all know Tamar actually travels about 15 to 20 people deep, so she has an entire entourage there with the show, and they all come out, and she says, "So, there's nothing worse than a family secret, okay? The family secret is the worst kind of secret." And today I have my niece Ashley, and she's going to tell us about something that happened within our family, the Braxton family. And that is literally how it wrapped up. But I guess with all these episodes is going to be leading to this big blowout between Tamar and the rest of her sisters, because she slapped a glass that had some sort of water or wine in it, knocked it toward Tawanda's way. We saw an incident where, like I said, Tony jumps out of her seat, and she said she could not I can't have too much stress on me, okay? I can't get too agitated, too excited, too nothing, because I could have a heart attack, and that could be the end of my days. And she jumped out of that seat so damn fast to come after Tamar. I was like, girl, your heart, sit. So we'll have to see what happens next. What else? there was a time when Black women didn't worry about their back size as much as they do now. What happened? I don't know. I don't know. When I used to live in St. Louis, when I lived in St. Louis, there were a couple of white women who were walking through the park. I lived by this park, and I would always walk the park every day. And I remember walking past, and I was like, they have really interesting bodies. Like they were, double cheeked up. You know what I'm saying? Double cheeked up on a Sunday. And I was like, I've never seen that. That was my first time. I was like, I've never seen that before. And then all of a sudden, it kept happening. It kept happening. I used to work for an OBGYN. So we used to see a lot, you know what I'm saying? But everybody was talking about how they would travel to Brazil to get these butt lifts and things like that. And I was like, it sounded like such a horrible experience. I don't know. You got to have some bravery, some guts to get it, child. But this has been going on for a minute. But when I initially saw it, it was really just white women. And then maybe 2 years or 3 years after that, I saw a lot more Black women looking different. And I just was like, why? What are we doing wrong? And I'm going to tell y'all right now, I'm like Tamar. I'm like Tamar. Ain't nothing in the back, child, but I don't care. It's a little something, not a lot, but I'm not doing any of it. None of it. It is what it is, okay? I'm going to leave my temple alone. The one that God gave me is enough, okay? If he wanted me to be different, he would have built me different. Look, so I don't know. I mean, like I said, I think it takes a lot of bravery. So whoever has it, I ain't trying to down y'all, child, because I know it takes a lot. It takes a lot to go under the knife. But yeah, that was really the show. I just felt that I'm happy they're sharing this story. I'm happy that the Lou is your second home. I'm happy that they are sharing this story on TV because I don't think that we get a lot of honesty from reality TV all the time. And I know a lot of people are saying they're using Ashley for her story. I've heard people say that. Ashley's 33 years old. So she brought this story to social media first. And then I think this is a way for her to get it out in a healthy way. I'm looking forward to seeing how she resolved things with her aunties, if that happens. You know what I mean? I want to see that. I want to see how she resolved things with her grandmother, Evelyn, Miss Evelyn. Oh, there was a scene with Miss Evelyn. I forgot to tell y'all that too. My bad. There's also a scene with Miss Evelyn. Did I tell y'all everything? Damn, I feel like I might have left something out. Yeah, Miss Evelyn sits down with Trina for lunch. And Trina lets us know that she went and took her real estate license, child. She's out here selling houses now. So you can actually have Trina as a real estate agent and help y'all get a house or sell a house. And there's a moment where she's talking to her mom about Tawanda's bachelorette party that's going to happen in Mexico. And she said, Mama, do you miss being married? And Miss Evelyn, without missing a beat, child, there was no stuttering or nothing. She said, no, I don't. I don't miss being married. Not at all. And I have to say, even when she said that, I was like, you said the mama who is the one who don't want them secrets out. I was just about to say, at the beginning of this, I said to all of y'all, it was the mama and the daddy who literally was teaching them the secrets, right? You have this amazing family. You know that they all can sing. You are encouraging them to go out. You think they might roll into, being famous or get some money. This is the type of stuff that people try to keep a secret. We saw it with, what's her name? Aaliyah, when Aaliyah was married to R. Kelly, and her family thought it was better not to have this exposed to the public and for public consumption because they wanted to protect her career. But these are decisions that are made all the time for people, all of the time. I think that the story will end in disappointment like little Kevin. You think so? What do you think was disappointing for little Kevin? Tell me, Jacqueline. You think it was him and his father or him and his aunties? White women were getting a lot of them some years ago. I had a white lady ask me to go to the plastic surgeon with her, and I told her that I would have been too much for the tote for her to tote. Yeah, that's who I saw with it first. I didn't see it the other way around. But those ladies were literally brick houses. I just remember walking behind them and thinking, "What? When did this happen? When did this happen?" It confused me a little bit, but I didn't know what it was at the time. I didn't know what it was at the time. It was later when I was like, "Oh, you can do this now." Um, let's see, Trina and Gabe was speaking to Dr. Sherry about their marriage, and the text messages came up. Oh, yeah, I do remember that. I do remember that. No judgment. Yeah, no judgment. Listen, some of them look really good, okay? Um, but I don't know. I'm just a person that's afraid to do surgery, period. I'm a person who's afraid to do surgery, period. I just think there's a lot of bravery that comes with it. I just know that. The question is, who was Tamar's two abusers? That is a good question, and maybe Tamar will get it out this season. Y'all know Tamar refused to tape, or she did tape a few scenes, but she was not considered a permanent cast member during the first season of the Braxtons. This is when they talked about the Tracy passing. We got to see film of Tracy. Tracy allowed cameras to chronicle her sickness, and I think might have just been the last 2 weeks. But Tamar said, "I'm a friend of the show, and I really didn't want to have shit to do with it." Then things changed. Tamar ended up getting a development deal, a few development deals with We Network. And she said she wanted to be a producer, like have a big percentage in this particular season, season 2. And they gave it to her. And she is now a full cast member. Whereas before she wasn't. She said, "I'm a friend of." Now she's a full cast member. So she has more power than Tony, Tawanda, and Trina and her mama. So she is holding the cards in a different way than last season. And y'all know when it was Braxton Family Values and the Tamar and Vince show, she thought she was powerless. So Tamar is going to be bringing up a lot of family secrets, if you ask me. I think now that those tables have turned, and when she was sitting at that table with her sisters, and she said, "Which one of you bitches put a cease and desist on me?" I think that is her saying, "I got the power now. I'm holding the cards, and Tawanda can't do what she typically does. She's going to bring it out one way or the other." That's what I'm watching. And that's how I'm presenting this story. So we shall see. But according to, if we're listening to it through Tamar's lens, Tamar said, "Everybody think that I'm the drama queen. I'm the one who's out here making the rest of the family look bad. I'm carrying a lot on my shoulders. I'm carrying a lot of burden." And we know that Tamar has been in the hospital twice for possible, trying to take herself off the planet. Tamar got secrets, and she's going to tell them. And I'm not mad at her. I'm not mad at her. You would rather her expose her own story than someone else's. Who do you think she's exposing? Are you talking about Ashley, or you think something else is going on in the family? I said that earlier. I said, when you're the victim, you want to ask the victim permission. But if you are just, an extension of the issue, and what's going on is just a skeleton in your closet, then you just have to accept the fact that it might get revealed. But there's a lot of stuff that they didn't talk about. I mean, when you Google Tawanda and you see those charges that she had on her from writing bad checks and shit like that, I think she had some theft charges on her. She had some shit. Tawanda's been in some stuff. Tawanda's been in some stuff. Okay. Those secrets didn't come out. This is a family that's very much used to covering for each other, and covering for each other at the extent of keeping the Braxton family name clean for the most part. Tamar is a serial victim. Is Tamar a serial victim? I don't know. It's hard to say. I think that one of the most egregious things that could happen to you as a child is to have a predator um, do things to you that don't have, you can't protect yourself from. You know what I'm saying? That's the worst that can happen, and it changes your outlook on everything, your ability to have children, who you partner with in life, everything, right? And I think that she needed something from her family that they didn't give her, and she, in some ways, she holds it against them. Her mother and father are still alive. They were the ones who were responsible for taking care of her, but she was a little girl. Her sisters were grown when she was still, little girl age. So something happened. We love to, attack the person who's the loudest, and we think they're acting ignorant, but there's a reason for the behavior. And if you start looking for the reason why, it's the person that's the most quiet. It's the person that's the most quiet that, is the biggest abuser. Um, hey, Fashawn. Holding secrets will take your life if you don't find a way to resolve it in a positive way. Yes, I agree. There's a lot of different ways that people handle secrets. We just watched P. Diddy. You know what I'm saying? If he had his way, he would have took everybody out around him. Except, those secrets has been out for a long time. People have been saying those things for a long time. You know what I'm saying? If you do a horrible things to 100 people, 1 million people is going to know by the end of the year. So he can't take out everybody, but people either try to kill everything around them that they think might know the secret, and it's still going to come out. It's still going to come out. And you just have to decide if you're going to be the one to tell it and, stand in it, or if you're going to let it come out on you. Tawanda is the invisible instigator. I picked up on that during the Braxton family values. See, I didn't pick up on that right away, and then I think I felt kind of bad for her because her and I think Tamar used to fight so much. I used to be like, well, Tamar is really going after Tawanda. But then when I saw Tracy go after Tawanda, I was like, ooh. And Tracy really just tried to keep peace with all of them, except for Tamar. Her and Tamar got into it a lot. But after that, I went, you know what? Tawanda's the one who moves. She moves the pieces on the board. That's what I thought. Especially when the predator is a family member, and when she told, they didn't believe her. So she felt betrayed by her parents. Agreed. Especially when the predator is a family member. So I didn't know if it was a family member or if it was someone in the church. I didn't know which one it was, but yeah. I mean, Oprah never forgave her mama. You know what I'm saying? I mean, she forgave her to this extent where she kept her okay. You know what I'm saying? She made sure she had a house and all the stuff. She said, I until the day she died, there wasn't anything she wanted for her. But she felt away. She felt away. Those things are hard to get over. Secret can cause sickness, depression, anxiety. Yep. Praying the show gets canceled. They only care about money and ice cold toward their niece, and not a good look. Oh, I actually like the show. I think that we're in this cancel culture to the point of where people are canceling us. You know what I'm saying? The president of the United States said, we're taking all this slavery shit out the schools. Let Black people history start from today moving forward. Like there's history behind stuff, and we got to learn how to accept it. Accept it and stop thinking that you can cancel, destroy, get rid of anything that don't fit your narrative today. Okay. People do horrible shit, and the only way you figure out how to get over it is if you look firmly at where it came from and move through it. We got to stop wanting these things to go away. This is a part of human affliction. It is something that happens in every culture, every family, every ethnicity. Um, we just we my mom used to always say, if someone embarrasses you or shames you to the point of where you can't talk about it, they won. They won. Don't let anyone hold you hostage with a secret. Don't let anyone hold you hostage with shame. There's things that I may not be able to protect you from, but if you can't tell me, I'll never be able to protect you. And you have to be able to say that to your kids. You know what I'm saying? We're adults and we still want to shut down anything that we think is embarrassing, even if it's not to us personally. If it's to someone else, we're like, oh my God, that's so embarrassing. Get it off the air. Cancel them. It's never going to help anyone. It doesn't help. We got to stand and look at it and say, that's some crazy shit. How can we fix it so that it never, ever, ever happens again? You know what I'm saying? Or if it does, we'll at least know the steps to take to help heal situations. We keep repeating everything. We repeat it because we can't get through it the first time. I like the show, but they got to do better. Explaining their nephew and niece looks mean. It got to be something else. If their nephew and niece is adults, how do you feel that they've exploited them if they've come on as adults to discuss their position? Tell me that. Do you think that they tricked them, or that they didn't know that? You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you think happened that they pulled the rug from up under them? That probably means that Tamar had to continue to go to gatherings where the family member probably attended, and that's sad. And that explains why she is exactly who she is right now, right? When you have to go into spaces with an abuser, ugh, can you imagine? And you feel like you're the only person, like there's no one there to protect you. Tell me what you mean by that. I've heard that people say that the niece was being exploited, but the niece told her story. The family didn't tell it. The niece told it. She told her story first, and then Tamar asked her if she wanted to discuss it on the podcast or make it a part of the show, and she agreed. But she did that in her 30s. She did that in her 30s, and I think that she wants healing, and I think that's why she did it. In regards to the nephew, tell me what you think happened first before, because I'm not sure. I saw that too, but I saw a lot of people who said that they didn't want Tracy. They thought that it was bad that Tracy was on last season, that they had, inserted her while she was sick into the show. I don't, but I know I'm different, child. I know I'm different, so I don't know. With the niece, the nephew, yes, because that was so fresh. Okay. I hear you. I heard him say that he didn't have regrets, but I also heard him say that him and his father were working through things. I don't know. I feel like if the nephew was young, maybe, but he's also a grown man with a wife. He had a wife and a children, so I would want to see him make his own decisions. And I think that that probably brought him closer to his mother. I think that he learned things that he didn't know about his mother, like some of the money that she had held for him, them putting him with that lawyer and saying, hey, your mama actually took care of you. She wanted you to have this, when she passed away. I think all of that stuff was stuff that he probably didn't know. And I think that he needed their help. Even as adults, I don't think that they are still allowed to tell their stories on the show. Well, let's see. That's why I said Tamar's holding the cards, and Tamar's the one who decides what happens now. So I'm interested. Tamar, yep, she moved to Spain. Ashley moved to Spain. Things were so bad in that family, and I'm assuming with her father, that she said, I moved to Spain and I'm okay with never seeing any of y'all again. Now, I will say this, she had enough respect for Tracy to fly into the United States and say her goodbyes to her auntie. So when things like this happen, you know what I'm saying? We love to say, I'm gonna cut you off and I'll never with you again. But when you go and you pay your respects, you are seeing all those people that you said hurt you. You're trying to open the door for healing, in my opinion. I think you're trying to open the door for healing. After Missy and her daughter didn't put aside their differences and show up for their grandson at his mother's funeral, that told me a lot about those women. They can be vile if you push them. After Miss E and her daughter didn't put aside their differences to show up for their grandson at his mother's funeral. Oh, yeah. So it's sad. I agree. Their argument was, just because I heard them, their argument was that she did not want a funeral. She did not want a funeral. She did not want it publicized. The husband had a funeral that I think that he also had streamed to YouTube or some sort of streaming service, and they found that distasteful. They found that distasteful. And so they said that they wouldn't be there, and that they were going to honor her wishes by having a simple memorial with just the family, because they said that she was very adamant, do not hold a funeral for me, do not put me, she didn't want this to be a public, she didn't want it to be for public, discussion. So I don't know. I think that I understand both sides. I think that when people pass away, that people need to grieve you, right? And if a funeral is how people need to grieve you, cool. Whatever her and her husband decided, that was her and her husband. But I also understand that if the family she felt very strongly that that's not what she wanted, then doing it would probably feel like a smack to her by them. And so they didn't want to do that. They tried to honor her by doing what she asked them to do. Put their little bird chains on with her ashes in it, do a separate memorial for her. That's what they said they did. It was a lot for them, expressing their disdain for his dad onto Tracy's passing, and he and his wife were estranged. It was too much. I don't think Kevin was ready, but they put it on the show. Was she closer to Tracy? I don't think so. I don't think they needed him for Tracy's image. Tracy signed off on the release and had production there when they were doing it, from what I'm understanding. She had already signed off on it. But that's not what her will said. What did her will say? Y'all got some tea I don't have. What did her will say? I don't know. When people pass away that you're really close to, it can cause a war. It can cause a war with the family that's still alive, child. I know, I've seen it. I come from a really big family, and when people are really at the damn funeral, somebody can get into it if you are doing something that someone believes you shouldn't be doing. That's the type of stuff that it's very emotional. I still believe that they love their sister. I still believe that Evelyn loved her daughter. I just think that they felt like this is how we want to memorialize her. We don't want this to be a YouTube funeral. We want it to be this type of funeral. I think he said that the Braxton father came. I think he said that. What did her will say? Hey, Andre. Tracy was overlooked. That was her story. Tracy got pregnant when the group got signed, and the Braxton girls got signed, and she was not going to, she wanted to keep her baby. She wanted to keep her baby, and they said, we can't wait for you. This is our time. This is our opportunity. We're going to take it. So when that happened, Tracy never was able to catch back up. She was at home with her baby, and the other girls were traveling the world and, you know, living out the dream that they all had for themselves. And they didn't come back for Tracy. And you could tell the difference between Tracy staying in Baltimore and, you know, being a living her life with her family, and the other girls who had traveled and met the rich and famous. And you know what I'm saying? You could see it in their air, okay, how they handled themselves. And she always felt like she was a little bit beneath them, unfortunately. And when you have families like this is real talk. They're sitting there talking to each other about their experiences and the shit that they've done together and seen together. And Tracy's on the other side listening to these stories thinking, you know, you guys forgot about me. And she had an opportunity to say that. And I think that was amazing. I also, I think it was amazing that you get to see that, because people don't think about it. People don't think about it like that all the time. And they said, we've apologized to you. What do you want us to do? And then Tony brought her on tour. Tony hadn't even brought her on tour. You know what I'm saying? Tony brought her on tour with her so that she could live out being on stage. And then she forgot the words and she forgot the dance steps, child. It was fun. I actually liked those episodes. I thought Braxton's Family Values was amazing. I liked it. It told her husband just not to have seniority do anything. It told her husband not to have seniority to do anything. It didn't say nothing about no small service, if I recall it correctly. Oh, okay. You're talking about her last wishes. I don't know, y'all. I'm just telling y'all what they said on the show. I don't know if it was something she was supposed to write out. I don't know if it was something she spoke, but they said that's what she asked for. No service. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna tell you what people told me when we were, discussing the last wishes. Somebody said, this is what I want. And I remember my grandmother saying, what you want may not be what you get, because a funeral is for the grieving, the one that is left behind. And sometimes you have to do what's right for the ones that are left behind. Okay? So for him, the husband, that's what he wanted. And that's what he did. But for the others, they wanted something else. And they're never going to speak to him again, no way. So it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes people get bent out of shape, but that's not what they wanted. But anyway, y'all. That's okay. That's okay. Listen, this was fun. Hopefully next week or Friday we'll get an episode that's a little bit lighter. Okay. They're trying to lighten it up with Tawanda's bachelorette party. This will be her first time having an actual wedding. I guess her marriage to Andre was at the Coat House. But yeah, that's it. That's all. Okay. Anyway, I like the show. I like the Braxtons. I think that they're telling these stories at all is really brave, because that's just not what we are trained to do. All of us are trained never to have these conversations. So I think that they are doing something that a lot of people have not had the guts to do. You know what I'm saying? Now we'll just see what happens next. We'll see what happens next. But y'all, that is it. That is all. Let me take my screen down. Braxton family values, or actually, this is just Braxton family, child. Still covering for Gabe. We'll see what happens next. This is season 2, episode 1. Y'all hit the like button, share the video, please and thank you. Follow me on all my platforms at DYANAROZAY. I appreciate every single one of y'all. Y'all are my community, my YouTube family. I appreciate every single one of y'all for watching and hanging out with me, rocking with me. Until the next time, I will see you. Bye-bye.